Welcome to the Nagrik Podcast with Hari.
A couple of hotbeds which should be on our radar, right? And these are certain flashpoints where if we are able, let's say, if the world breaches these flashpoints, we could sense some trouble brewing. Could you talk about these flashpoints?
Sure. The two hotbeds or the flashpoints are really the permafrost and the ice shelves in the Antarctic, right? Now, just to give you an idea, permafrost is frozen soil, and you find permafrost generally in the Arctic region. And this is like centuries ago, a lot of biomass got buried, and then kind of ice started accumulating over that. So it's frozen kind of land right now. And estimates are that permafrost itself has approximately 2 times the carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases that currently exist in the atmosphere, right? 1,500 gigatons, if I'm not mistaken. That's a huge amount. And if that gets released, the average global temperature would rise by around 6 degrees, which means mayhem, right? So what is happening is because of the global warming and rise in temperature, this permafrost is thawing, right? As it's thawing, the microbes are getting in, and decomposition is starting, right? And a lot of carbon dioxide is getting liberated. So
It has already this.
yeah, in some parts it's kind of the rate is very slow right now, but it's started, right? It also liberates a lot of methane because what happens is as the permafrost thaws, it creates water puddles. So beneath the water puddles, when there's anaerobic fermentation or decomposition that starts, which gives out methane, right? Now, as these greenhouse gases get into the atmosphere and their stock increases, the global warming increases. As the global warming increases, the temperature increases and more thawing happens. So it forms a positive feedback loop, right? Each circle becoming worse than the previous one, right? And the challenge is that if this feedback cycle becomes quicker and more intense, then we could see the release of permafrost very quickly. And that could be disastrous because that will shoot up the temperature rise. So we need to kind of watch against that, right? The second one I spoke about is the Antarctic ice shelves. So as we know, Antarctica is large glaciers, and glaciers move always, right? Now, what has happened is some of these large glaciers, as they were moving, they have gone and rested against the seabed, right? And are now held in position, right? Let me explain you the other way. Think of an ice shelf like a bottle of wine with a cork, and it's held slantingly, right? That cork is the one which is holding the wine from flowing out, right? Now, think of the ice shelf as that cork which is holding the glacier behind. If that cork is taken out, the wine will flow, and in this case, if the ice shelf melts, then the whole glacier will start moving into the sea, right? Now, what is happening actually is because of global warming, these ice shelves are beginning to melt from the top and therefore weaken. But more importantly, as we spoke earlier, the currents in the ocean, and especially what comes from the north to the Antarctic, those undersea currents are warming up, right? They're getting warmer water now. And that warm water is hitting at the bottom of these ice shelves and melting it from there. So they're getting weakened from the top and they're getting weakened from the bottom, right? And therefore they are under threat. Now, if these ice shelves melt, as I mentioned earlier, the glaciers will start flowing into the sea. And as that happens, the whole glacial system, which is kind of very set and adjusted right now, begins to weaken. And we have the threat of more and more ice coming into the sea. Now, as that happens, the sea level rises. And just to give you an idea, if just two glacial systems in the world were to melt, which is the Antarctica and the Greenland, the global sea level will rise by around 210 feet. So imagine most of our population lives in coastal areas. Most of our big cities are in the coastal areas. Imagine them 210 feet deep in water. So what will happen? Land will shrink, people will migrate, and people will not only migrate from the coastal areas, people will also migrate from areas which are getting very warm, right? And it's not only people who will migrate, animals will migrate as well, right? And as this happens, the proximity between humans and animals will increase. And as that happens, the transfer of diseases from animals to humans will increase. These are called zoonotic diseases, right? But more dangerously, there are a lot of animals, rodents, insects, birds, which so far haven't come in contact with people. And they're called reservoir hosts because they carry pathogens, viruses, which we have had no exposure to. We have no idea what kind of diseases can they unleash.
No exposure to and hence no immunity to.
And no immunity, absolutely. And what kind of pandemics they would create. So that's one of the kind of fallouts of what we just spoke about, the sea level rise.
From the Arctic, we'd see more and more, let's say, organic matter getting decomposition, leading to more carbon dioxide. And from the Arctic point of view, the warmer waters are reducing the, let's say, the holding capacity of the stability of the ice shelves, and therefore the glacier systems will melt, therefore leading to the rise, move into the
Oceans.
Okay.
Give a
quick, right?
No, I'm not saying that this is going to happen now or today or tomorrow. It could take still decades, centuries, But you need to be cognizant of these and start working towards seeing how we kind of, avoid such situations from happening.
Definitely. And I think one of the next factors which you mentioned, right, that as sea levels rise, or let's say as the proximity between animals and humans, starts to reduce, we could be, similar to what happened during COVID as well, right? It was a virus.
Actually, COVID could have been one of the, could have been a virus of originating just as what we spoke.
Right. So therefore, we could also see fallouts from health point of view, for the population, where animal induced, or let's say viruses coming from animals which haven't been exposed to us yet could lead to,
Actually, health will be the biggest victim of climate change.